Welcome. Today we're going to be taking a look at our basic Finance Manager program, which I've been working on all week, specifically taking a look at this connection to the database using SQL and the join clause inside of it. To get started though, a brief explanation of the program, which I think will be useful. First of all, the program has a table with multiple users in it. So it's not just for one person. It could be, it accesses information on multiple users. And also within the program, there's a table for multiple accounts. So it keeps track of the balances for multiple accounts. Now, this particular, these two tables represent a many-to-many relationship. We could have one user that has multiple accounts, a checking or a savings account, or both, or several of each of those. And in the case of the accounts, an account could be a joint checking account between multiple users. It could be a savings account, like a child savings account, where not only the child would be on the account, but also the two parents as well. So that when a user is called, the idea here is that when a user is accessed within the program, it lists all of the accounts that are associated with the user, the type of those accounts, and the balances in the end. Now, previously, before the join clause, when we were using just basic SQL calls, that required two calls to the database. Uh, it required one call to the database to access these account IDs, and then a second call to the database to access the information from the accounts table on the checking or the type of account for each of those account IDs and the balances. Using the join command, we're able to combine both of those calls together so that it's a single call. And if we take a look at it here, we see that in the users model, there's a method called accounts, and when that's run, when that's called, it runs a select query from the database on the accounts users table. This is our bridge table, where the user ID is defined. So this would be a particular user. In our case, we were looking at user number 1. So it looks in the accounts users table for every instance of, so for every account where the user ID is 1. And then when it finds those accounts, it joins the accounts table, which allows us to pass not just the account IDs, but also the accounts type and the accounts balance all in one connection to the database, which saves us a bit of time. We get all of that information, which allows us to then output that directly to our browser. And so when the user's clicked, we get in one call their account numbers, we get the type of those accounts, and the balance. So looking at what we've done, we've saved a bit of time. Instead of having to make two calls to the database using the join command, we are able to combine those two into one call. Now this is a inner join here, and in the case of our database, it didn't matter with this particular call whether it was a left join or an inner join, because in the accounts users bridge table here, every instance of an account ID is going to have a row corresponding to it in the accounts table. If it had been the case where there were instances in the accounts users table where there were no accounts in the accounts table to match those, then we would need to use an inner join as opposed to a left join to make it work. But in our case, whenever an account is deleted from the accounts table, it also deletes those instances from the accounts users table. So we can use just a regular inner join here, and then had I put in left join, it still gets the same result. But that's the difference there. Thank you so much for listening. Have a great day.